Oh, Jace. Jeez, I didn't realize he was even in the last episode.
You mean the power to destroy them?
You're the one who denied your abilities and almost destroyed the whole family. Why would you want to do that again?
Wow. Okay, it's like that.
No, this is not a drill. We're evacuating right the hell now, so drop whatever you're doing and move.
That's so black. What the hell now?
We gotta get it.
20 minutes. The most important thing is to make sure he doesn't get to DC. Ever.
Whoa, it's an assassination now?
Look, I hate that
Kinda
son of a
always
bitch,
was.
but that goes against.
We are gonna go get Luna right now. And if I see your eyes turn blue, I swear to God, I will be the last thing you see. Let's go.
Marcos is pissed.
I repeat, we have you surrounded. Surrender immediately.
It's not gonna happen, Jace.
Grab what you can, clear a path.
Ah, this is why we saw the wall coming apart in that earlier episode.
Can you help us out here?
I got this.
This is so cool! That is...
Everybody, come help!
This is amazing. We're finally getting the mutant powers combining. I can't even take it.
Wait for it.
I hope y'all got paid a lot because it's about to be a bad day at work. A real bad day. That's right. Ain't worth it, bro. It ain't worth it. Y'all didn't pay me for this.
Good job.
How did you get into all this?
Oh, here comes the sob story. We're supposed to make us care about
My
Campbell.
brother had cystic
Not gonna
fibrosis.
happen. Okay, that's kind of amazing. This is so good! They're like, you think your new school weedy? Oh, jeez. Bye. Jace, you ready?
Everybody out.
Oh, too late for that,
Everybody out
Jace.
now.
Too late for that. Idiot. Woo! Like a pile of dust, ashes to ashes.
Experiencing engine trouble.
Ooh, Magneto in the house.
What the hell is going on?
Emergency landing.
Oh, now you praying. God don't like you.
Don't do that.
Goodbye and good night. Woo!
And headquarters?
Gone.
It's gone.
New set for season
Gone?
2.
What do you mean gone?
To say there are grave questions about your judgment.
My judgment, sir.
Oh, guess
You
who's gonna
launched
take
this
over?
assault without
Damn
proper
it!
backup.
You can do it without me.
I'm pretty sure they were gonna fire you, but okay.
Agent Turner.
Take the
Agent
higher
Turner.
ground.
Sacrifice.
There's nothing noble about struggle, Marcos. And
New
sacrifice
wardrobe. Who
is
this?
just a pretty name for losing.
Andy, no.
Good job, Andy. Let him go. He's crazy.
Don't try to stop me.
Let the trash go. He's only half powerful without his sister anyway, so. And that's that. Well, called it. I called that Andy would be the one to go to the Hellfire Club. I said that in the beginning, didn't I? Wow. Okay. Well, guys, that was the season finale of The Gifted. Whew. There was a lot to take in. I mean, a lot happened in this episode, and yet not really, because we've kind of been dealing with everything that led up to this episode for quite a while. The show did a really good job of really laying out all the issues being dealt with, all the sides of the story, where everybody was coming from. Like, none of this is like a big surprise. But it just kind of came to its culmination point in this in these episodes. Like I said at the beginning of this video, we've seen the Polaris has already been pulling towards that side. We knew that Andy has been taking this whole revenge life on. So, you know, those were not big shocks. It's just kind of the solidification of those decisions. And yeah, it touches on a lot of issues that are very relevant to real life. So yeah, I guess let's get into some of the details. There are quite a bit, but I'm gonna try to run through them because this was already a pretty long episode. We got a little bit of background on Campbell for the first time. We never really got to, before this we didn't know much about Campbell. We just knew that he was a researcher. We knew that he clearly had no empathy whatsoever for mutants, and that he was willing to do just about anything to get his hands on the Struckers and on the research around the X gene. We get to see in this episode that apparently he had a brother, and his brother had a genetic disease called cystic fibrosis, and for those of you who know anything about it, it basically, I believe it affects the lungs and some other internal organs, and long story short, it's a death sentence. Most people who have that disease don't tend to live long lives. You know, Campbell having to watch his brother go through it, knowing that there are mutants out there who have the ability to regenerate, aka your Wolverines, who will always, well, not always, but who would never have had cystic fibrosis, knowing that that genetic ability was out there and that he didn't have the knowledge or the ability to tap into it to save his family. That apparently began his bias, his jealousy about mutation, and then eventually that jealousy turned into hatred. I know they were trying to humanize him a little bit, but you know, it's too far. Campbell's gone too far at this point for me to feel any sort of empathy for his character. I mean, Jace, I can still, I mean, it's waning. It's strongly waning, but I have like a little bit of, I can still a little bit be like, okay, well, you know, Jace losing his daughter twice, that was rough. I can kind of still somewhat say that there's some reasoning behind Jace, what he's doing, and maybe a place for him to pull back from, but Campbell's done. Campbell crossed the line. And then again in this episode, when he was willing to use children to save himself, like that lets you know just how twisted that man is. He literally has no respect or empathy for anything or anyone but his agenda, which is to wipe out mutants because he's jealous that he's not a mutant. But yeah, again, once again, we just saw with Campbell that it's just another case of him using something painful that happened to him as justification for hurting other people. And that's not the way it works. You know, in the old saying, you know, two wrongs don't make a right. I'm sorry that your brother wasn't able to get help, and that, you know, there wasn't research out there to maybe figure out what about certain mutations could help heal humans. But that doesn't give you justification to go out and wipe out all mutants because, you know, you're mad. You know, you mad, bro? You mad? Anyways, not sad that Campbell's gone. I wasn't sure if they were actually going to kill him because he was a pretty good villain. But in the grand scheme of things, especially towards the end of this episode, we saw that Jace is kind of more the villain that we've been working against, I guess, because we've learned the most about him. We've seen his life. We've seen more about him. So Campbell, I think, was just kind of a catalyst to get us there. And obviously now we see that Campbell was the catalyst for Lorna to finally cross the line of, I'm willing to do anything it takes for what I believe my cause to be. So I'm not sad to see him go. He was terrible. He was an evil man. The sad reality, though, is that Campbell was just a man. I mean, they got rid of that senator too, which, I mean, I guess is a win in some regards, but the thinking, you know, that the fact that they had a whole conference around people who had this like-minded bigotry, that ideal is not dead. And that's the biggest message I think that this show has done a great job with kind of trying to point out, is that it's not about the individual. You know, people look at when certain people, especially people of power, have a very narrow-minded view, a very bigoted view, a very hateful view. A lot of people just feel like, well, if we get rid of that person, it's going to fix things. And it's not. That's the sad reality. And this is where it gets very difficult. And being a person of color, believe me, I understand exactly how it feels to be so frustrated with people who judge you and hurt you. But problem is, if we all get this militant viewpoint of I'm gonna hurt you because you hurt me and do this tit for tat, no one wins, the fight never ends, it just becomes an endless cycle of pain. And the ideal is what needs to be changed. You know, all those people who are at the, what was that, the Humanity Now conference or whatever, there is a thinking there. There is a ignorance. There is a bigotry. That mindset is what needs to be tackled, not the people involved. Because a lot of those people are probably just don't really even know what it is that they're buying into. They just might be afraid, or maybe they've had a poor experience with a mutant and they don't know how to deal with that, or not know how to paint all mutants with that same brush. But if they were given the right education and the ideals, like that's what happened with so many people who, you know, anyone who's ever had a bigoted or a racist or prejudiced mindset, they were never won over by someone of that they had that feeling against doing awful things to them. You know what I mean? Someone who's racist against black people doesn't change their minds because black people do a bunch of terrible things to them. Sadly, that reinforces the ignorance that they have in their mind. What changes it is when they see evidence that, you know what I've been told and what I believe is not lining up with what I'm actually seeing in action right now. Those people who've had those mindset changes, it's been because they've actually experienced being with the person or people that were the object of their bigotry, and realizing that a lot of the things that they believed were not true, and questioning that and realizing for themselves that maybe, no, I've been wrong about this. Right? So that is what the X-Men were trying to do. That's what Charles Xavier's whole mantra was about. And that's sadly what, you know, Johnny's been trying so hard, and Marcos, with the Underground, to try to reinforce, is that we get that this is hard, but the way to solve our problem is not by proving the bigots right, which is exactly what the Brotherhood did, which is exactly what the new Hellfire Club is clearly trying to do. So, yeah, just some deep topics there, but again, it's just this cycle of, you know, let's keep hurting each other. It's just going to keep playing out to make things worse, and I think in season 2 we're going to see, obviously, we're going to see things get a lot worse before they get better. You know, Lorna, I think, truly grappled with her decision. She wasn't, despite the show trying to kind of put a lean on Lorna's belief system around, oh, Magneto, who is so evil, and that's why Lorna's inherently evil. I don't really think that's the case. Even Magneto was not inherently evil. Did he do extreme things? Was he a bigot? Absolutely. But there was fuel that led to him making decisions to be like that, right? We all know with Magneto's past, you know, growing up in the concentration camp, seeing what happened to him, being, you know, discriminated against not only for being a Jew, but also for being a mutant. He had so much hatred put towards him that unfortunately he twisted that and just sadly redistributed it, you know, against humans. And with Lorna, I don't think she's, even despite the fact that I'm disappointed that she's going this way, she really does feel that she's got the right justification. I mean, and then also with this child she's carrying, you know, she's very much, pardon me, being motivated by the life she thinks her child is destined to have if she cannot find a way to not be scared or be fearful all the time. Now, of course, there is a far less dramatic way to deal with this. They could just go to Mexico or any of the other countries, because they've already indicated very early in the series that there are other countries, and Canada is probably one of them. Let's just face it. My fellow Canadians are not about that life, that oppressive life. But digressing, they could go elsewhere. That would be the simplest solution. Lorna could go elsewhere, raise her baby away from the U.S., and if the U.S. had this belief system around how mutants should be treated, but she wants to fight. There is a part of her that really does want to kind of get some revenge and really does kind of want to revisit some of the pain that she's experienced onto these people. And it's just, like I said before, like it's pain for pain. It doesn't make any sense. And it's not going to really solve the problem. It's just going to perpetuate a lifetime of fighting. Madeline Rismond, new name. I don't know if she's somebody in the comics. I'm going to have to do a little research, but I guess we're going to see her next season and maybe figure out how she ties into the whole Strucker family thing. Otto apparently works with her. Sounds like maybe they might have had a little something more, maybe. Yeah, I'm just kind of curious as to who she is, if she was potentially part of the Hellfire Club or maybe one of the X-Men. I don't know. They dropped that name like twice, so that means something. So we didn't get to see her this episode, but I feel like she might become quite instrumental in season 2. I just want more answers. I want to know what's going on. I want to know how we're going to turn Reed back into a mutant. Which, by the way, side note, really cool that we saw Reed actually call himself a mutant in this episode. Because yes, his powers are dormant, but he's still a mutant, right? Like, the X gene is still there. It's just suppressed. So, yeah, maybe this Madeline chick will be the key to Reed becoming a mutant again. And maybe a kick-ass, super strong one. How awesome would it be if Reed became a mutant again and was stronger than Andy and just, like, spanked him? I would love that. Just because Andy's really getting on my damn nerves. Again, I think this episode proves more than ever that while Lorna is gone way too far to the other side of everything, she did have a point when she was on the underground, and something that I've said for a while is that the mutants need to learn how to use their powers offensively. There's just too much of them getting kind of... There's a lot of situations that could have been avoided if the mutants had a safe, but a way to use their powers offensively to defend themselves. Like, yeah, it's pretty bad that every time these guys get hit by, you know, Sentinel services or whatever, they're all basically sitting ducks. They need to learn to do at least some self-defense at a minimum. And I like that Blink's getting better. It looks like she did that portal pretty quick when they were at the rally or whatever. But we need to get them using, like, she needs to start using her power offensively too, because future Blink is capable of doing some pretty badass things with her portals. And so, yeah, outside of Johnny and Marcos and now Polaris, pretty much none of those mutants seem to really know how to use their powers to defend themselves. So that's gotta change. And hopefully in season 2, whatever this new grouping is, they'll learn how to at least defend themselves, so the future isn't quite so much of them having to huddle and run every single time. Other than that, the powers, like, that was my favorite part of this episode. Like, we've had all these mutants for so long, but we haven't gotten to see what they can do. You know, we Shatter, no idea what he could do. Now we know. He can turn things into things that are shatterable. I guess maybe his own skin is that way. We don't know. Pardon me, we don't know. Seeing that there's another strong man in there. Seeing the girl, we saw the kid with the water beforehand, though. That was something that was not that we'd seen before, but I just love seeing more of the powers show up. Who was the chick that came and got Polaris in the Institute with the hand? Like, that is why I like these shows. That's what I live for with these types of shows, is seeing the powers and doing stuff. Now, I get it. Budget reasons, they can't be popping that out every episode, but it was so sweet. So sweet to see that go on in this episode. So I'm hoping in season 2 maybe they'll get a slightly bigger budget and we'll get to see more of that kind of stuff with more people in the underground, because Andy and Lauren's powers are fine or whatever, but it's basically just telekinesis, right? So I'd love to see some stuff that's a little bit, you know, a little more cool stuff happen. And as far as kind of cutesy moments, there wasn't a lot of really cute moments in this episode, but pardon me, seeing Johnny and Blink kind of start their little journey together. I mean, yes, it's true. A girl Dreamer isn't quite 100% gone yet. Her body may not be fully cold, but I mean, Johnny and Dreamer weren't really together. You know, they were kind of just in this thing. You know, even Dreamer said it's like, we like each other, but we know it's not a good idea for whatever reason. So I say that Johnny's fair game and the man is fine. So I'm about that. I like him and Blink together, and I kind of like how they play off each other. And I'm glad that little mini drama they had about her past kind of got squashed, because come on, Johnny, like, that was years ago. Let's move on. Yeah, I guess that was pretty much the episode. I mean, not a whole lot, like I said, happened in the grander scheme of, you know, of events. Like I said, we've kind of talked about all these things that led up to this episode. What didn't happen? I guess I expected there to be kind of more of a big battle, but I guess we don't really have I guess we're not really there yet. We're not really at the battle royale for these guys quite yet. But I did predict that the Mutant Underground would be discovered and or destroyed before the end of the season. And it was right at the finale. But yeah, the Underground as we know it is over. But this now leads the way to something new forming that can be a little bit different than the Underground was. The Underground was really more of a sanctuary. But now we're to a point where, because there's divisions within the mutant group, we have to see now what this new group that Johnny and the remaining mutants who didn't go with the Brotherhood or the Hellfire Club, whichever one they're going with, what are they going to be going for? Because they can't just be Sanctuary anymore. What's it going to mean? They are now basically going head to head with the Authority. And also, are we going to see now whatever the new version of the Underground is go up against the Brotherhood? Like, is there going to be, or I don't know, I guess I'm going to call them the Brotherhood for now because we don't know if they're going to be called the Hellfire Club, but there's going to be some conflict there. How are they going to handle that? The other thing also, obviously, is the Strucker kids. Andy is powerful, but he's not as powerful as when he's with Laura. That's all there is to it. And you know the Hellfire Club does not just want one of them. They want both of them. So I'm very interested to see what will happen, because Andy just wants to feel important. He's just a little pissy little kid that way. He just wants to feel important, and the Hellfire Club's stroking his ego right now, but I'm wondering how long it's going to be before one of the higher-ups in that group is like, so where's your sister? Because you're, you know, whatever, but we really want Fenris. That's really what they want. They don't really care about the Strucker kids individually. They want the power of the Von Struckers combined. So it'll be interesting to see in season 2 how they handle just this infighting that's going to be going on between them, and how much of that might become the big arc of season 2. Maybe the humans will become, you know, take a background, like take a back seat, I mean, and then it's really going to be mutant group against mutant group. And then that just kind of leaves a little bit with Jace. Jace learned the hard way that Sentinel Services does not have his back. Something that anyone could have told him if he'd be willing to listen. But now that Campbell's dead, and the Hound program is probably going to be at least put on hold, and now Jace botched taking out the Underground, and he found out, like, you know, the SS is not behind him. With Campbell being gone, though, and Jace being disillusioned with Sentinel Services, I see the door being opened for Jace potentially taking over for Campbell in some way, becoming the new Campbell, because he doesn't have a lot left to lose now. You know, he kind of failed at his job, he's lost Campbell, he's done things now that he clearly regrets. Does he really feel like there's any place else to go, right? That's going to be the question. So I can see Jace becoming that person in season 2. It saddens me because I was really hoping that we could see a turnaround in Jace, and we may still, but I feel like that the show is telling us indirectly that Jace is going to be our new Campbell in season 2, and probably be even more dangerous than Campbell because he's got a point to prove. So that was a great finale, guys. It was really, really good, really satisfying to watch. I love seeing all of these storylines kind of get wrapped up in a way, but we also have a bit of a cliffhanger, but nothing crazy. You know what I mean? We're not going to be like, oh my God, what, you know, did someone die? You know, it's not that kind of a cliffhanger, but we have enough to be like, okay, now I need to know where we go from here in season 2. What did you guys think of this finale? What did you think of the whole season? Did it live up to your expectations, or did it exceed it? I know for me, I definitely had like low expectations, and I think this show blew them out of the water. Please leave your comments below. You know I love reading your comments and getting into the discussion with you guys. And if you like this video, guys, please go ahead and click that like button. If you want to see more from this slightly sick but geeky face, please go ahead and click subscribe. Until next time, see ya!